small businesses built over a lifetime disappeared. Patients delayed cancer screenings and other medical care. Families were separated from dying relatives. Workers were ordered to accept a medical procedure or lose their jobs. Worship assembly, employment, education, and travel were restricted in the name of science. Well, you did not impose every restriction. You used your public authority to justify them. Dr. Fauci, did the CIA ever transfer funds to NIH under an interagency agreement?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Dr. Fauci, did the NIH ever conduct research for or in coordination with any element of the intelligence community?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
I'm just very interested why it was this date. Did it have anything to do with the fact that 2014 was also the year that the NIH began funding EcoHealth Alliance's Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence Grant?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
And this is the same grant that funded the work on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute on Virology. Millions of Americans are questioning what happened during COVID, why we were given misleading information, misleading advice, why you gave conflicting statements based on, I guess, how you were feeling that day.
He is not recognized by the committee or the chair. This testimony is from Anthony Fauci. This is not a game with his lawyers. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered, for a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room.
Given Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about it.
Fatherhood is under attack in America. 1 in 4 kids is growing up without a father. We've replaced fathers with bureaucrats, and the results are a disaster for our kids and our country. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say Emergent Order Foundation is what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're a studio on a mission to defend the family and to call men back to the responsibility, strength, and sacrifice that fatherhood demands. The family is the last line of defense against a radical agenda that wants to rewrite everything from truth and tradition to gender and God. We're raising a new generation of men, not victims, not activists, but fathers and protectors. Join the mission, support the movement. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office.
Coming from every angle with the will to deceive. Fear not. You found the place for truth. The voice of a generation that still has the will to believe in the greatest country in the history of the world. This is the Charlie Kirk Show. Buckle up. Here we go.
All right, welcome everybody. It is Thursday, July 30th, 2026. Blake is reclaimed my mic flag at the Wi-Fi Studios.
I feel like I've had this mic flag more than you for the last few weeks. I think it might be my mic flag, Andrew.
Not this week. Nope. How we doing this morning, Blake? Lots to get to.
We were doing splendid until I saw the video you wanted to talk about to start today's show, and now I'm feeling a bit bummed again. Other than that, I'm glad.
Let's go ahead and throw it up. This is 185. This is the video in question. This is coming from the south of Spain, and it's terrifying to watch because guess what? It looks like Spain is getting invaded right now, which is a terrible thing to see. And there's really no reason this should be happening other than the fact that Spain's feckless Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, has legalized millions, I would put it in millions, at least 1 million, though, illegal immigrants in that country. And so what do you get when you go soft on immigration, especially when you are neighbors with the third world? In this case, Morocco is just a small boat ride away. I've actually taken that boat ride on a ferry to Morocco from Spain in years past, and it is very short.
Well, it is
very short.
Andrew, this isn't even so. Spain has a couple cities that are on Africa. It's from way back in the Reconquista days when they conquered Spain back from the Muslims, and then they have Ceuta and Melilla. I'm not sure if I'm saying those right, but these two little cities. And so this is in Ceuta, and they just have a normal border fence, but they will have migrants by the thousands show up, and every few years they'll actually just crash through, overwhelm it. Obviously, the goal is either blend in and hide, or once you get in, you try to make it legally difficult to get expelled. But it's as you said, earlier this year, Spain passed this huge amnesty for hundreds of thousands of people who'd illegally migrated there. As usual, when lawmakers push this through, although I shouldn't say lawmakers, because I believe the government found a way to do this without even having a direct parliamentary vote. And then once they passed it, it turned out the number of people eligible was going to be 2 or 3 or more times higher than they originally promised. Now the word is out. Spain is the place to go. And it's even more terrifying because this is the European Union. So they have the Schengen zone, the shared open border within Europe. So everyone knows if you can get into Spain, get amnesty there, glide past their authorities, you can go anywhere in the European Union. You can go to France, you can go to Germany, you can go to Sweden, you can go to Poland, Lithuania, wherever you want. And Spain could basically, they could single-handedly destroy Europe, even if the rest of Europe doesn't want it to happen.
Exactly. So look at, to Blake's point, that Ceuta is actually in the African continent. It is a small carve-out of Spanish land in the African continent. So what happens is if they get into Spain, then they are then granted all the rights and protections that the European Union would give any Spaniard. So yeah, they are illegals. Yeah, there may be some options legally to take care of that. But once they are in Spanish territory, getting across Gibraltar or wherever, because Gibraltar is technically British land, but if they get into Spain, then they are released into the continent. And what do you do then? And here's the problem. This is weak immigration, and people in this country forget that just 2 years ago, for all the hemming and hawing, for all of the hand-wringing, for all of the sometimes justifiable criticisms of the Trump administration, this was America 2 years ago. Put those images back up on the screen. Put the images from the Spanish invasion back on the screen. And by the way, this certainly looks like a bunch of women and children just looking for a better life, doesn't it, Blake? No, actually, when you zoom up on it, these are all military-age males that are streaming across these fences into Ceuta, okay? 2 years ago, this was America. This was the southern border in the United States of America. This is why we elected President Trump for mass deportations, to seal off the border, which he's done, and to get these people out of our country. Because no developed country, let's just say that, should have to put up with an invasion like this of third worlders streaming across its borders. And how easy we forget and you look at the polling, you look at the headwinds. Okay, you're upset about the Epstein files. You're upset about Iran. So am I. But we cannot allow this to be our future. We cannot allow the past to be the future. And this is another reason, and I'm going to keep harping on this, because yesterday I finally called on X for Leader Thune to be removed as leader of the Senate GOP and leader of the Senate, because we need to get the Save America Act passed, because what you are seeing in those images in Spain, that was America. These people are here. They are getting driver's licenses. They are getting CDLs. They are flooding your DMVs in your schools, in your hospitals. And many of them are registered to vote. In just 4 states, we know that over 250,000 illegals are on the voter rolls. That's unacceptable. There shouldn't be one. I don't care how many are even voting. They should not be on our voter rolls, and they should not be counted in our census. So Spain is a warning of Christmas past and Christmas future if we lose power. We have to get this done. And I would love to see either Senator Rick Scott from Florida or Mike Lee take over as Senate leader. People that have proven that they are willing to do the hard things. People that are willing to take hard stands and work with urgency. We are about to see the Senate take 6 weeks off. It's not even a month. 6 weeks off. And I want to point something out. Blake, you make this point brilliantly all the time. According to the Partnership for Public Service and the Washington Post tracker, more than 100 Trump nominees are still sitting in the Senate right now, with about 108 awaiting action. All told, there is approximately 800 top roles that they track out of 1,300 that require confirmation. The 800, only 360 have been confirmed, and we are well into year 2 of Trump 2.0. What are we doing here?
What are we doing?
We don't get these windows of time where we control the Senate and the House and the White House.
Like, what are we doing? Because it is, you think we have a 2-year window to actually get things done, and then we could lose Congress. And I think you can look back on the first Trump term. We were given an awesome opportunity by the American public that we got a Republican majority, House, Senate, presidency. Basically, a majority that the Republicans have only possessed a handful of years in the past century. We had it in Bush's second term. We had it back in like the days of Herbert Hoover and Calvin Coolidge. You rarely get opportunities like this. You rarely get opportunities for the Republican Party to actually just with its own votes pass whatever it wants. And if we throw away this 2-year opportunity, who knows when we will ever get it again. So as you said, cancel the recess, confirm everybody, pass the SAVE Act, actually supply things, and that will get them far more upside than anything they could do during a recess, period.
100%. If you are worried about flagging enthusiasm on the right, get your job done. Senate. That is the only way that we win now. I'm going to tell you guys about All Family Pharmacy. More Americans are starting to ask an important question. Why is it so difficult to get access to medication you may already know that you need? If your health is your responsibility, which it is, why are outside systems deciding what you can and cannot have? That's one of the main reasons why All Family Pharmacy is so critically important. They make it simple to order a wide range of medications online, from everyday maintenance medication to travel and emergency preparedness kits. The process is straightforward. A licensed doctor will review your request, and it ships straight to your door. So go there right now, allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk, and use promo code Kirk10 to save 10% off your order. allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk. Promo code Kirk10 to save 10% off your next order. We'll be right back.
Fatherhood is under attack in America. 1 in 4 kids is growing up without a father. We've replaced fathers with bureaucrats, and the results are a disaster for our kids and our country. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say Emergent Order Foundation is what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're a studio on a mission to defend the family and to call men back to the responsibility, strength, and sacrifice that fatherhood demands. The family is the last line of defense against a radical agenda that wants to rewrite everything from truth and tradition to gender and God. We're raising a new generation of men, not victims, not activists, but fathers and protectors. Join the mission, support the movement. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hello, this is Hockey Nut from Weyerhaeuser, Wisconsin. Just saying, tune in to Real America's Voice for the truth.
I'm Lou, Mega Pilot from Rav's Getter Chat here in beautiful Trump County, Florida. The best place for real news is Real America's Voice.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorful Colorado. I'm Drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
We are at the Wnba studios. I want to talk about them because they are amazing and you can trust them with your money. If you are an accredited investor, you can earn up to 10.25% and that interest rate is fixed. So if you invest for 1 year, it's 6.5%. If you invest to 5 years, 10.25. You can spread your investment over those terms to best suit your needs. And when you invest in Wnba, your interest is calculated daily, paid out monthly, and you have the freedom to take that monthly interest as income, put it right in your pocket, rent your bank account, or reinvest it, whatever you choose. And they have a third option where they automate your ability to give some or all of that monthly interest to a local charity, your local church, whatever you want to do with it. And just a word about Wnba. We love these guys because they love the country. And by the way, we're going to have a Sophie Cunningham story right out of Seattle, the Seattle Storm. We're going to talk about that probably in hour 2. Nevertheless, they work with Sophie Cunningham. They have great taste. They're supporting people that support the country, okay, and the way the founders envisioned it. And that means a lot. For more information, call 877-80-INVEST, 877-80-INVEST, or visit them online at investyrefy.com. That's investyrefy.com for more information. You got to check out their private placement memorandum. Scan that QR code right there on the screen to view the disclosures at your leisure. Wnba, investing in America's future. All right, so I want to highlight something. This happened last night, and we're going to get into it a little bit more with Senator Bernie Moreno when he joins the show in hour 2. But throw up pick 187. This is the current list of senators that have openly and publicly called for the August recess to be canceled. You've got Senators Mike Lee, Rick Scott, Tommy Tuberville, Coach Tuberville, Jim Banks, Ashley Moody, Darlene Graham. God bless you. Can you imagine, by the way, being Darlene Graham? You get right in at Capitol Hill. You assume your role as the interim senator for your brother. And John Thune says, time to go take a vacation. 6 weeks. We'll see you later. So good for her for saying, hey, let's stay on the job and get this done. And by the way, to his credit, disagreed on a lot, but Lindsey Graham was pro-passing the SAVE Act, and I think we should do it for him. Bill Haggerty, Katie Britt, Todd Young, Marsha Blackburn, Eric Schmidt, Dave McCormick have all now publicly called for August recess to be canceled. So let's get this done. And I genuinely think the point cannot be stated enough. The time is short. This moment is precious. We have so many headwinds facing us as a conservative movement going into the midterms. We don't know how much more time we're going to have to get any of these confirmations over the finish line, to get the Save America Act over the finish line. I don't care if you have to do it via reconciliation and take on the parliamentarian. I don't care if you have to do a talking filibuster like Senator Mike Lee has called, but you've got to get it done. There is zero excuses left. And I think genuinely that we need to encourage the president. He refused to give a vote of confidence to John Thune when asked about it yesterday. We should encourage him to move and maneuver and use whatever powers he has to replace John Thune as Senate Majority Leader. Because this conference has been a roadblock, not a vehicle, to getting the people's agendas passed. If you want to know, Blake, to your point earlier, I think it was really well made, why we're having flagging enthusiasm, why people, 1 in 5, according to the Washington Post, of reliable conservative voters are not sure they're going to show up in the midterms. If you want to know why, it's because they want the agenda passed that we elected Donald Trump for. And that's not happening, at least not at the speed that we want it to. Yes, there's been many wins, and we celebrate those wins. And we want to see more wins. That's why we want to win. But this is a huge 5-alarm fire, and we need to get it done. And I want to, go ahead, Blake, please.
It's just, as you say, the biggest threat, I like to highlight this whenever we're talking about elections during our live streams, midterms. The winner, the biggest vote getter in any of the races here is going to get far fewer than Kamala Harris got in 2024, getting creamed by Donald Trump. Turnout is way lower in these midterms. It's all about enthusiasm. It's all about, are your people feeling fired up? And I think they obsess so much on, are we offending? Are we going to scare the moderates who are going to swerve the other way? There's a bit of that, but even the moderates will actually, a lot of them, they're a little tuned out of things. They're going to be more fired up if they're thinking, wow, President Trump, he's delivering on his promises. He's doing those things that he ran on. And if they're offering up all of these wins, we already have the border, but if they're able to say, hey, we're confirming everything, we're securing America's elections. When we talked about it a few weeks ago, if they pass some sort of insider trading, stock trading ban for Congress, they can come out and say, here's a real swamp draining effort that that everyone here has talked about for years. We finally did it. There's only a few months left. The clock is ticking here. Your ability to change the entire trajectory of the economy at this point, pretty limited. But your ability to go and rack up a few wins that show a populist angle, that show that you're delivering for the American people, that window is still open. And I feel so frustrated having to preach to Congress in this way, because it feels so obvious to me. It feels so obvious to you, Andrew, that is how you get wins. But D.C. is such this cloistered place. It's a very traditional place, even though it's not conservative. It's very traditional. It's very stuck in its ways. It's very old. Congress is full of old people who don't like to change how they do things, who don't like to work too much overall. And it's very frustrating, because I really think even now, they could have an August to remember that would totally transform the perception of the Senate and of Congress generally in this administration.
I love that. Let's make this an August to remember, where we actually get the people's business done. And in case you missed it, the Senate was occupied yesterday, obviously, with the Fauci hearings. I've got a slightly different take on that. I'm going to talk about it with Senator Bernie Moreno. A lot of people are frustrated. They think it's failure theater. Nothing gets done. I think yesterday was critically important, setting the record straight, reminding everyone of the corruption and the scumbaggery of Anthony Fauci. But in the evening, Senators Bernie Moreno and Mike Lee led the push to get the Save America Act passed, and I want to make sure we give them their flowers for this, because Senator Mike Lee specifically has been so good on this. 24.
Who benefits from illegal voting? Their words seem to suggest that they're benefiting. Mr. President, this issue isn't going away. The Save America Act isn't going away. Voter ID requirement demands are not going away. I will be back. I will be back day after day, week after week until this passes. Because the American people deserve to go to bed every night knowing that their government is run by people they themselves elected.
Throw up 182 and then 183. These are images of our own border. This is what we lived under Biden. It cannot be overstated the importance of passing the Save America Act. We know there are hundreds of thousands of illegals on our voter rolls. We know they're getting counted in the census. They must be removed, but they must not be allowed to vote. The American people demand it. It's existential. That's not Spain. That's our own southern border under Biden. And yeah, it's got cleaned up, but we got a lot of cleanup domestically and internally to do still. Jeffrey Clark joins us next. We're going to be talking the Her tapes. He's been a dog with a bone on this story. We'll be right back.
So my friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super.
Fatherhood is under attack in America. 1 in 4 kids is growing up without a father. We've replaced fathers with bureaucrats, and the results are a disaster for our kids and our country. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say Emergent Order Foundation is what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're a studio on a mission to defend the family and to call men back to the responsibility, strength, and sacrifice that fatherhood demands. The family is the last line of defense against a radical agenda that wants to rewrite everything from truth and tradition to gender and God. We're raising a new generation of men, not victims, not activists, but fathers and protectors. Join the mission, support the movement. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved Wnba app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. Wnba is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the Wnba app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hello, this is Hockey Nut from Weyerhaeuser, Wisconsin. Just saying, tune in to Real America's Voice for the truth.
I'm Lou, Mega Pilot from Rav's Getter Chat here in beautiful Trump County, Florida. The best place for real news is Real America's Voice.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorado. I'm Drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
AARP grow closer to big government, AMAC is growing stronger in Washington to defend the values that made America great: faith, family, freedom, and opportunity. AMAC believes in freedom of religion and speech, the right to keep and bear arms, free enterprise and personal responsibility, common sense solutions instead of government control. And AMAC refuses to stand by while radical policies from blue states threaten our families, our livelihoods, our safety, and our future. AMAC is no longer just an alternative to AARP. They are the leading conservative voice for seniors and patriotic Americans. With a rapidly expanding presence in Washington, AMAC is standing toe-to-toe with AARP's massive lobbying machine and winning. Join AMAC today and help us replace failed big government policies with common sense, pro-America solutions. America needs AMAC, and AMAC needs you. Stand with us today. Go to amac.us/RAV. That's go to amac.us/RAV. I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice News headlines. Senator Rand Paul says his committee will move forward with a contempt of Congress vote against Anthony Fauci after he continuously invoked the Fifth Amendment during Wednesday's hearing. Republican senators grilled Fauci on his mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic, arguing that he got wealthy while Americans died and was involved in the funding of the dangerous gain-of-function research that could have created the coronavirus. Fauci invoked the Fifth Amendment 111 times during the hearing on advice from his lawyers, who claimed Senator Paul was trying to entrap him in perjury. Paul and other Republicans argue Fauci should not be able to claim self-incrimination protections because of the preemptive pardon he received from Joe Biden. Meanwhile, a planned Senate Judiciary Committee vote on President Trump's nominee for Attorney General Todd Blanche has been postponed after 2 Republican senators raised concerns about a Justice Department settlement resolving President Trump's lawsuit against the IRS. Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis are seeking written assurances that a now-abandoned anti-weaponization fund will not be revived. Those are your headlines. We now return to the Charlie Kirk Show.
Hardest working radio show in the business. The Charlie Kirk Show.
My team and I conducted a thorough, independent investigation. We identified evidence that the president willfully retained classified materials after the end of his vice presidency when he was a private citizen. This evidence included an audio-recorded conversation during which Mr. Biden told his ghostwriter that he had, quote, just found all the classified stuff downstairs, end quote. When Mr. Biden said this, he was a private citizen speaking to his ghostwriter in his private rental home in Virginia.
Ooh, the Herd tapes. We're going to get into that in just a second with Jeffrey Clark, who's been tip of the spear on this project. But first, I got to tell you guys about Ghostbed. Blake, how did you sleep last night? I got to ask.
I'm great.
Good?
I mean, I guess it's better for our ad if I say it was mediocre. I haven't gotten the ghost bed yet, but you're going to have to. Maybe you slept better than me. I slept all right.
And well, listen, if your answer is fine or good, Blake apparently does not need this product, but I do, then that's not good enough, okay? You got to be saying great. Now, here's why Ghostbed is fantastic. Ghostbed, every mattress they make is specifically made to help you regulate your body temperature while you sleep. And every inch of Ghostbed is designed and engineered to support your body. And if you're a bigger guy or if you have back problems, I'm telling you, you need to check out Ghostbed. It's specifically designed to help you. So I'm about 210, about 6'3", bigger guy. So I need a lot of shoulder and hip support, because I tend to sleep on my side. And I notice the difference right away. Because literally, this happens to me. If I sleep in a bad hotel or something like that, I'll have back pain the next day and it's struggle to walk. So Ghostbed, here's the other reason you got to check it out. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't feel the difference, you can send it back risk-free. Ghostbed is currently having their best prices of the season, plus an extra 10% off for this audience. So go to ghostbed.com/Kirk. That's ghostbed.com/Kirk and use promo code Kirk to get an extra 10% off for this audience alone. Okay, so check it out. Ghostbed.com/Kirk. Use promo code Kirk to get 10% off. They were already best prices of the season. So check out Ghostbed. Really impressed by those guys. All right. Without further ado, I want to welcome Jeffrey Clark from the Oversight Project, which is a project of heritage. Jeffrey, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you. And I just want to say thank you for your work pouring into these tapes. I was reminded of it this week because it feels like we're relitigating the Fauci years. But it's so important that we get answers and accountability for what happened. Okay, so why don't you fill our audience in on what you have acquired as far as the Her tapes, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, Andrew, thanks for having me on, and it's good to be back on the show. Obviously, the last time I was on the show, Charlie Kirk was still alive, and I was watching the clip of him from a year ago today, and it's so sad. Just a year ago, he's still fully active, and then to be cut down like he was, it's so tragic. So look, we have to keep going, and that's the subject of these Biden tapes with his ghostwriter. So the Oversight Project, where I am now after I left the Trump 47 administration in March, and I'd been, as you know, in the Trump 45 administration at DOJ, they filed a FOIA request to get the ghostwriter tapes with Joe Biden and his ghostwriter, Mark Zwanitzer, in 2024. So we've been fighting a hard battle against first the Biden DOJ, and then when they left office, eventually Joe Biden's high-priced lawyers came in to try to block us from getting the tapes on a phony privacy rationale, because basically DOJ redacted anything going to private family matters like the death of Joe Biden's son of cancer. Most of the discussions that we got last week, they all relate to national security matters. They relate to issues of whether Biden can run for the presidency, and they relate to his reflections on some historical matters. There's nothing in there that I've seen or heard about the family's privacy. So these documents reveal several things to us. So my 3 points for you in one word each would be senility, her, and the future. And so on the senility point, they reveal that he had serious issues going back to 2016 and 2017 when these tapes were recorded. And yet the people around Biden still ran him for president 4 years later. And that's, remarkable. It ties into something else the Oversight Project did, which was to expose that Biden's presidency was really a auto-pen presidency, which is why President Trump has, as a picture of Biden in the colonnade, an actual auto-pen rather than Biden's picture. And it also revealed that he disclosed national security information to his ghostwriter, Mark Zwanitzer, who did not have a clearance. And then the last thing is, as you alluded to, Andrew, we need to have accountability for this. There's nothing about Her's decision not to prosecute that is set in stone. It can be revisited. It should be revisited.
Yeah, so why don't you break down the timeline here, Jeffrey Clark, with the Oversight Project? You mentioned, so there's actually two sets of tapes that when we're talking about this. There's one from his interview with her, and then there's these tapes from Joe Biden talking with his ghostwriter, Zwanitzer. And the timeline for that, this was 2016, 2017, correct? So this is after the Obama administration clears out. He's talking to his ghostwriter, and he actually references classified information that's at his Virginia home, his rental. And so in 2016, you're saying that you are hearing from these tapes yourself senility. He had already lost his fastball in a major way.
One of my colleagues here, Mike Howell, the president, he's got a way with words, and his summary of a lot of it is like a computer screen that says loading or buffering or something like that. He's just like can't seem to remember anything. And other times he's entirely lucid, right? So Robert Hur concludes that he gets a free pass on violating taking classified documents with him. He was not authorized to take, because of the fact that he had memory problems. I think a lot of that, though, is probably based on the memory problems he was having in 2024. But, as I've been pointing out, the relevant time period actually is not 2024 for assessing whether Biden committed a crime, or even 2016, 2017 entirely. It is the date on which he took the documents that were classified into his personal possession outside of the secure handling procedures, like in a SCIF. And since he took documents that go back to his time as a senator, We're talking about a time where he may not have had any mental issues whatsoever. So to give him a free pass and say, well, he couldn't have had the criminal intent, the requisite, criminal mind, I think is to just blur all of the time periods together like they're watercolors on a palette. And that's not the right way to approach it. We need to know what was his state of mind at the time he took the relevant classified documents. And I don't think we got anything like that level of precision out of Robert Hur, and that's why the current Justice Department needs to re-examine his recommendation to Merrick Garland, which obviously was taken because, as we know, Joe Biden was not prosecuted for anything.
Well, Jeff, I think back to when they were investigating President Trump over the Mar-a-Lago raid. President Trump, they made the argument, the person who decides whether anything is classified ultimately is the president. And it was brought up that President Trump could basically at any point have said, I declassified this in my head when I, made the call to take it or set it aside where I could bring it to Mar-a-Lago. Couldn't President Biden's team offer the same defense that maybe he misspoke there, but he could basically have just implicitly declassified something that it was even in his possession after he was president or while he was president, for that matter?
Well, if he violated the law back then, I don't think that he can retroactively do it. If President Trump is the president of the United States on January 20th, 2021, right, and he takes documents with him to Mar-a-Lago, I think, and I'm sure this would have come out if there were a trial, I'm sure he told people he was declassifying at least some of those documents, and there's no requirement that he do declassification in writing. It's the deep state that wants to have a very, written process that jumps through them, and they decide whether essentially to push it to the next step. That's not really what the law provides. President Trump would have had, total control over that process. And I'd also argue that even if he had not issued pre-existing orders orally or in writing to declassify, that by taking the documents with him, he declassified them by course of conduct, right? Just by the act of taking them with him. But Joe Biden, when he takes documents when he's a senator, that's just flatly unlawful. He can't declassify. If he takes them as a vice president, he doesn't have any inherent authority as the vice president to declassify. It's possible that Obama could have delegated declassification powers to him, but there's no evidence that that happened. So those would have been entirely completed crimes. And while Biden could have tried to pardon himself for those completed crimes, I don't think he can retroactively declassify documents he took illegally as a senator or as a vice president. He would only have had the power to kind of prospectively pardon himself.
What if Barack Obama just came out and said, I in my head declassified anything that Joe Biden had with him? Could he do something like that?
I mean, I'm not sure Obama would want to do that. And I especially think it would be risky for Obama to try to do that based on documents that were taken when Joe Biden was a senator. How would Obama know what documents Joe Biden took going back to his time in the Senate, right? So theoretically, I think Obama could try to say something like that, but during the whole time that the Hur investigation was going on, and there were people, at the Biden University of Pennsylvania Center, et cetera, launching defenses of him, we never heard boo about, Obama's going to say that Joe Biden was authorized to keep these documents. Like the Obama people adopted a policy of kind of studied silence on that.
Hang right there, Jeffrey Clark, the Oversight Project. We're going to continue on with this. I want to tell everybody about Hillsdale College. For nearly 3,000 years, Homer's Iliad, the Iliad, has shaped the Western imagination as one of the foundational works of Western literature. It explores permanent questions that we still ask today about honor, courage, leadership, friendship, justice, and what it means to live a noble life. In one of the epic's defining moments, Achilles returns to battle after the death of his beloved friend Patroclus, setting aside his wounded pride to confront the responsibilities that come with greatness. Here's the deal. We got the Odyssey. Everybody's talking about it. Check out Homer's The Iliad. Go to charlieforhillsdale.com today, charlieforhillsdale.com today, and explore the newest course from Hillsdale College. We'll be right back. Hey there.
Some stories deserve more than headlines. They deserve to be remembered. Extortion 17 honors the 30 American service members and 8 Afghan partners who made the ultimate sacrifice when their helicopter was shot down during a mission in Afghanistan on August 6, 2011. Through powerful orchestration and heartfelt emotion, composer Don Nguyen pays tribute to their courage, their service, and the families who continue to carry their legacy. From Real America's Music, this is Extortion 17 by Don Nguyen. Pre-save it now.
When it's breaking, we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good. I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
So this was high early on. In 09, I just found all the classified stuff downstairs. Some of this may be classified, so be careful. Okay. I'm not sure. It's not more classified, but the next thing I have here is this is classified.
This is probably something that goes to the presidential papers.
I don't think so. It was in between. I didn't want to turn them in. Right.
So that's an interesting little montage of Joe Biden with his ghostwriter in 2016, 2017, talking about the various classified documents that he was just handling, and it's all recorded. And this is what's really interesting. I saw somebody posted on social media, and this comes to mind with everything that's going on with Anthony Fauci. Jeffrey Clark is still with us. It's like, in order to think about how you should deal with this stuff, think about what the Democrats would do in their, if the shoe was on the other foot, and then do that, because these people are ruthless. I'm old enough to remember, Jeffrey Clark, that, President Trump's home was raided, Mar-a-Lago was raided at the suggestion that the President of the United States had classified documents. And yet we get, in this instance, a softer approach from Special Counsel Hur, saying he's just a senile old man that has memory problems. How, as a lawyer, how bizarre of an explanation was that from Special Counsel Hur?
Well, thanks, Andrew. I do think it was bizarre. And look, in the clip you played in the first segment, when just before you brought me on, Hur says very clearly that Joe Biden willfully retained classified documents, right? He uses the word willfully. So yes. He's kind of trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's trying to say, like, well, there's evidence of a crime, but then he says, I'm not going to prosecute it, right? Now, I think they should have looked heavily at what jurisdictions they could have brought an indictment against Biden in. They should have looked at Virginia because of the rental home issue you mentioned. They should have looked at Delaware. I'm sure there are some classified documents there as well. They shouldn't have just looked at D.C. I think if Robert Hur had sort of carefully gone through all the possibilities and said, look, this case could only be brought in D.C., and our analysis is that given the current state of Joe Biden's memory and his advanced age, we're not going to be able to get a conviction. And so, people might criticize me for this, but I'm going to go ahead and recommend we don't bring a prosecution. That would be one thing. But I think he clearly had other venue choices, and I think he just decided to give Biden a pass. And I also think, look, let's be realistic. Robert Hur has an R after his name, but he was picked in this instance by Merrick Garland, the Joe Biden handpicked Attorney General. And I think that, Merrick Garland knew that he was not picking someone who was going to try to send Joe Biden to jail like Jack Smith was trying to send President Trump to jail.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's frustrating. On one hand, it's like, listen, Joe Biden's old. He's senile. Who cares? On the other hand, President Trump had his home raided for the exact same accusation, but it was much worse, actually, because as you made the point earlier, Joe Biden was a senator and a vice president. He didn't have the ability to simply wave a magic wand and declassify any of this stuff, and he did it at such a point where his brain, I guess ostensibly would have been more acute. His memory would have been sharper. He knew what he was doing. He was willfully doing this. And it's just another reminder of the two-tier justice system that we have in this country, where if you have an R next to your name, the whole weight and force of law enforcement will be coming down upon you. But if you are a Democrat, you get treated with kid gloves. And so we can dismiss this as water under the bridge all we want, but it's not, because it is a symptom of a larger problem that Republicans and conservatives face all the time. And that's why I'm so grateful for you to continue on with this and to try and get accountability. And so that's now the next question is, what can be done now, and should something be done now?
I think something can be done now, and it should be done now, both. Again, Robert Hur was a special counsel. So first of all, there are serious constitutional issues about the special counsel office. We don't have an independent counsel statute anymore. I think the composition of the Supreme Court has changed. I'm not sure that even if that independent counsel statute existed, the current Supreme Court would say that it's constitutional. So mere regulations that are issued by an attorney general, in this instance, that was Janet Reno, would be upheld. We know that Judge Cannon thought that they were constitutionally suspect, and she, said that Jack Smith couldn't constitutionally wield that power. But look, putting aside the issue of using a special counsel or not, there's no reason why you have to use a special counsel. Robert Hur's pronouncements are not set in stone. They can be reconsidered by the current acting AG. They can be reconsidered by the President of the United States, who holds the prosecutorial power of the United States as the chief law enforcement officer, the chief executive in Article 2, in whom all executive power is vested. And I think the president should direct. I think the acting attorney general should engage in a reexamination of the facts about Joe Biden. And look, to my mind, however you slice it, this is a massive scandal. Either Joe Biden was non-compos mentis, in which case he never should have been put up for president in 2020 and allowed to serve until the end of his term, or he had the requisite presence of mind, in which case he should not get a free pass. He should be prosecuted for violating the Espionage Act. And that case, to prosecute him, is a lot more of a slam dunk than any conceivable case Jack Smith cooked up for documents against President Trump.
Man, that point, it's so important, and we've somewhat skipped over it. If he was mentally compromised, if he was senile in 2016 and 2017, the powers that be within the Democrat establishment and the apparatus still put this feeble, senile old man up to run as president during COVID. And I'm reminded the fact that he basically didn't run. He stayed in his basement. There's a reason for that. It wasn't necessarily COVID. It was because they knew that he would be exposed as lacking the mental acuity necessary to run the country. He was the auto pen president. Final 30 seconds on that, Jeffrey Clark, Oversight Project.
Yeah, exactly, Andrew. Look, for gosh sakes, he had a fake Oval Office he was doing addresses from. And I still haven't heard, a satisfactory answer to that. The closest I've seen is someone say they could put a bigger teleprompter in the fake Oval Office than they could in the real Oval Office. And he was so feeble, he needed the mega large monitor, to tell him exactly what to say. If that's true, it's incredibly depressing. Yes. I think that the people around Biden who ran him for president, knowing about these mental defects he had, they should be held accountable as well.
I totally agree. Jeffrey Clark, the Oversight Project, thank you for pursuing this. We're grateful, and we'll talk to you soon. Bernie Moreno joins us next in hour 2. We'll be right back.
This is Fubo. It's your way to watch ESPN and other top sports networks.
Some stories deserve more than headlines. They deserve to be remembered. Extortion 17 honors the 30 American service members and 8 Afghan partners who made the ultimate sacrifice when their helicopter was shot down during a mission in Afghanistan on August 6, 2011. Through powerful orchestration and heartfelt emotion, composer Don Newen pays tribute to their courage, their service, and the families who continue to carry their legacy. From Real America's Music, this is Extortion 17 by Don Newen. Pre-save it now.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Growing up without a father. We've replaced fathers with bureaucrats, and the results are a disaster for our kids and our country. I'm John Papola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say Emergent Order Foundation is what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're a studio on a mission to defend the family and to call men back to the responsibility, strength, and sacrifice that fatherhood demands. The family is the last line of defense against a radical agenda that wants to rewrite everything from truth and tradition to gender and God. We're raising a new generation of men, not victims, not activists, but fathers and protectors. Join the mission, support the movement. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
From the Real America's Voice newsroom. Well, yesterday featured an explosive hearing on Capitol Hill as Dr. Anthony Fauci appeared before Congress and pleaded the Fifth Amendment 111 times. Although he has been pardoned by President Joe Biden, Fauci was advised by his attorneys to plead the Fifth with each damning question from Republicans. In attendance at that hearing was our very own Neil McCabe, who joins me now. Neil, I got to know, what was the overall tenor in that room? Was it one of disgust, would you say? And then by contrast, was it Democrats' opportunity to sing the greatest hits of Anthony Fauci?
I'll tell you, Bo, one of the things that always, I don't want to say disturbs me, but I notice is that, you know, when the left thinks something is important, they show up these hearings, they disrupt the hearings, right? They have signs, they have noisemakers, they get themselves arrested. At that hearing, kind of a quiet crowd. The left didn't show up. I noticed a lot of the Democratic senators did not defend Fauci in any way, but there was applause from the crowd when Fauci's attorney, David Schertler, was escorted out of the room upon the orders of Chairman Rand Paul with the Capitol Police. And that was kind of one of those interesting moves. I I have not seen an attorney escorted out of a hearing before, and that sort of set the tenor. So Fauci, he made one statement, then he refused to answer any of the questions. But, as it was playing out, right, because it goes, back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. So the Republicans and their questions, knowing Fauci was going to call the fifth, they wanted to make him invoke the fifth as many times as possible, almost like it was like one of those mob hearings from the 50s or those, anti-communist hearings in the 50s where everybody's taking the fifth. But also their questions provided the roadmap for what American citizens can look for and sort of crowdsource the crimes of Fauci. On the Democratic side, they didn't ask him anything because they didn't want to put him in a position where he testified and where he's taking the fifth for the Republicans. And if he testified or gave answers to the Democrats, that might have created a legal jeopardy for him as this moves forward towards contempt. And so that was sort of the strategy there. But I did not notice any of the Democrats defending Fauci or any of his crimes. And I think a lot of the people in the room were just thinking to themselves, this might be the only punishment this man gets, the public humiliation, and so we're just going to enjoy it. He may never get arrested. He may never spend a day in jail. He'll keep all his millions, Bo, but at least he had this public humiliation, which some people take as a victory.
Well, it amazes me, Neil, that not one Democrat could ask a question, because every Democrat, Republican, Independent should have legitimate questions. We have to still get to the bottom of this, and I have to presume, Neil, that he still would have taken the fifth if even a Democrat had asked him a question. It's amazing, as you described, that their strategy was not one of being able to hold him to account, but rather to just kind of let things go because they were afraid the Republicans would have an upper hand. As you say, Neil, that this could be the only accountability, if you will, that might happen, at least in terms of the public opinion. Do you see Rand Paul moving forward towards contempt and maybe either fines, imprisonment? Is there any possible path towards Fauci getting more than a slap on the wrist, as maybe happened yesterday?
So after the hearing, the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, the South Dakota Republican, he held his weekly gaggle with reporters at the Ohio Clock. And he was asked, does he support contempt charges or holding Fauci in contempt of the Senate, contempt of Congress? And he basically said, it's kind of up to Rand Paul. I don't really have a view. I was disappointed by his answers. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was a disgrace. But there was no strong, adamant advocacy from Leader Thune to hold Dr. Fauci accountable, which is really sort of the posture of the Senate Republican leadership, which is sad. I am absolutely convinced, I will tell you with metaphysical certitude, that Rand Paul will take this to the nth degree, because obviously he was raised by Ron Paul, who's a physician, and he himself is an eye surgeon. And so he was personally offended by the abuse of medicine and science by Fauci and his crew.
Well, that was an explosive hearing, and I think you're so right. I think Rand Paul should take it to its ultimate logical conclusion for sure. Well, thank you, Neil. We appreciate your time.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about it.
Some stories deserve more than headlines. They deserve to be remembered. Extortion 17 honors the 30 American service members and 8 Afghan partners who made the ultimate sacrifice when their helicopter was shot down during a mission in Afghanistan on August 6, 2011. Through powerful orchestration and heartfelt emotion, composer Don Nguyen pays tribute to their courage, their service, and the families who continue to carry their legacy. From Real America's Music, this is Extortion 17 by Don Nguyen. Pre-save it now.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
All right, welcome to Hour 2 of the Charlie Kirk Show. It is now underway, and we have Senator Bernie Moreno from the great state of Ohio joining us now. Senator, thank you so much for making the time, and I just want to say I thought you did a phenomenal job yesterday questioning disgraced Anthony Fauci. You know, you used a few colorful words. I heard people make note of that, but I felt like it really was an expression of the anger that average Americans feel for having been locked down, the masks, the vaccines, everything that happened. Just give us your initial reflections on yesterday. I thought you did an amazing job. What was that like to see him take the fifth so many times?
Oh, I think can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. I lost you guys for a split second. Sorry about that. I apologize. The Capitol here, the cell phone service can be crazy.
No problem.
So look, yesterday was a guy who damaged this country in deep and profound ways, especially kids, deprived them of education, shut down businesses, got people in the military fired, got people in private businesses fired, bragged about that, lied to the American people, and worst of all, basically, we now know that it was the U.S. taxpayer at his direction that funded the gain-of-function research that led to the coronavirus epidemic. So we helped fund that through him, and this guy couldn't even bother to look at the people he hurt and couldn't even muster up an apology. It was a disgrace.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple different takes that if you look on social media that people are expressing. And I actually understand where most of these are coming from. I happen to think that what happened yesterday was genuinely and truly important because so many people easily forget what we all lived through and they move on. But it was an opportunity to memorialize with him having to sit there watching and listening to U.S. senators like yourself, remind everybody of just what happened. I think that was really important. But he's also got a blanket pardon dating all the way back to 2014, up into the time Joe Biden left office. And you guys are federal office holders. So there is a risk, but people are upset. They call it failure theater. They call it more political theater in D.C. I disagree, but I want to hear your perspective on that, Senator. Why was yesterday important?
Well, it's important for two reasons. The one you just laid it out, which is we have to remind the American people what they did to us to make certain that we never allow it to happen again. You know, most people who can recite the Declaration of Independence talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and they usually end the sentence there. But the most important words come after, which is governments are created by men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Do we feel like we had the consent of the governed when these politicians were doing these things? The answer is absolutely not. And what we also exposed, it's really, really important, is that Democrats, given power, want to control us. Fundamentally, that's the difference between what I would say a Republican conservative and a socialist liberal, is they want total and complete control over our lives. What kind of car to drive, how to behave, where to do this, where to do that, what type of food to eat. Their instinct is control. Our founders knew that was fundamentally flawed, that politicians should derive only their just powers from what people want. In other words, we work for the people, not the other way around. And I think that hearing was critical. The other piece that I thought we could get to, we didn't, which is just a humility expressed by the people who made these terrible decisions and an apology. To say, hey, look, you were called racist because you called it the China virus. You were called a conspiracy theory because you said it came from the lab. You were called anti-science when you said the vaccine might not work for everybody. You were called a selfish person if you didn't think that you should wear a mask out, walking or exercising outside. And they shamed us. And at least they could say, you know what, we were wrong, we didn't have the right information, and we apologize to the American people. And he couldn't do that. And I think that it was the part that was yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Senator, this was a powerful moment that from your examination, your cross-examination, which he just pled the fifth, but you asked him to acknowledge the people that had been shamed and persecuted for being skeptical about the lines that he was feeding the American public. And it was just a powerful moment. Let's play this SOP 30.
Dr. Fauci, can you just turn around and look at the people behind you? You're not willing to do that? Is that a question? It's not a question. To your lawyer, it's not a question. It's a request. All you have to do is look up from your lawyers and look at the people who were absolutely shamed for saying what we know now to be the truth. You can't even look at them?
He wouldn't look. He consulted his lawyers and wouldn't look.
Traitor.
I totally agree that these moments are important. Go ahead.
No, the lawyers said to him, ignore him, ignore them. That's what the lawyers said to Fauci. That was their advice. Ignore him, ignore them. And that's exactly what they did to us for 2 long years. They ignored the American people. And these are people who work for us. Our taxpayer dollars funded every cent of his salary. And yet this guy thought he controlled us. And that's the point. Americans have to remember that and make sure when you go to the voting booth, it's not just voting for somebody who you think agrees with you on policy. What's their instinct? Is this somebody who wants to control your life? And the answer is usually right now, sadly, if you're running as a Democrat, you want total and complete control over their voters. And that's what young people are missing when they say, we don't want authoritarians. I agree. That's the Democrat socialists that are running. They're the ones that want to control your lives. We want to give you freedom and liberty. Charlie would talk about this all the time.
Senator, I could talk to you about this for so much longer, but you spent your evening back at the Senate on the floor arguing to not only suspend the August recess, but to pass the Save America Act. In the minute and a half we have remaining with you, sir, explain the state of play right now. Is there any hope that the August recess is going to get suspended and the Save America Act passed?
Well, I don't think we should leave here if we have a path to get this passed. Last night, we went on the floor. The House has passed a bill that would ban insider trading and give basic voter ID as a requirement for national elections. These are 99-1 issues. Most Americans agree with these things. The Democrats blocked it for the second time in a row. And worse yet, we said, hey, let's put it up for a vote. Let's just let the vote happen. And the threshold should be 60. So we're not asking to change Senate rules. And the Democrats blocked that. They wouldn't even allow a vote on this issue, which bans insider trading. So the Democrats would not vote a bill that could become law that would ban insider trading and give us voter ID, let alone proof of citizenship and not unsolicited mail-in ballots and the other things. This is just a simple bill. So what we're going to work on as Republicans over the next few days is find a strategy, a plan, and get that implemented. And we don't leave town until we can get that plan done.
Yeah, but whose decision is that? Wouldn't it have to come straight from Leader Thune to stay in D.C.?
Yeah, ultimately, that's obviously the leader makes those kinds of decisions, but he does listen quite a bit to the conference to see what we should do.
Well, Senator, I hope that you and the other fighters in the Senate win the day and that you stay in D.C., you get the job done. That not only that, there's countless confirmations that need to get across the finish line as well. We're almost 2 years into Trump 2.0, and the American people are desperate for the Senate to work and for the Senate to listen to people like you. And it's just a great reminder, Senator, why Charlie was such a huge supporter of yours, why you had his total faith and confidence. And we appreciate you doing the hard things and sticking around in D.C. and pushing your colleagues to do the same. So God bless you for that. And thank you for your time.
No, it's why I ran for office. Thank you guys for what you're doing. And let's see what happens over the next few days. We're going to fight like hell, though.
Amen. Senator Bernie Moreno from the great state of Ohio, thank you again for your time, sir. We are out of time here, so we're going to pick this up on the other side of the break, and we're going to get to the Sophie Cunningham story that everybody is talking about in the Seattle Storm. Blake is very excited, huge WNBA fan, so I'm excited to get his take on that. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
So my friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable.
Some stories deserve more than headlines. They deserve to be remembered. Extortion 17 honors the 30 American service members and 8 Afghan partners who made the ultimate sacrifice when their helicopter was shot down during a mission in Afghanistan on August 6, 2011. Through powerful orchestration and heartfelt emotion, composer Don Nguyen pays tribute to their courage, their service, and the families who continue to carry their legacy. From Real America's Music, this is Extortion 17 by Don Nguyen. Pre-save it now.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
I'm Terry from New Jersey, and I just want to say that I love Real America's Voice. I love you guys. Keep up the good work.
Hi, my name's Paul Foyer. I'm Foyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all. Bye.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. #1 news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
We're getting into August time, which means we're going to start thinking about back to school time, which means you need to be thinking about what your kids are eating, focusing on what matters most. And what comes to dinner, it starts with good quality meat. This season, get back to the basics with Good Ranchers. Good Ranchers partners with local farms and ranches to deliver 100% American meat straight to your door, pasture-raised, no antibiotics, and no added hormones. That's a guarantee from them. It's the kind of quality you can taste and feel good about serving your whole family and your friends. I love Good Ranchers. I get a box of meat sent to my door every month. It comes with my favorite, which is the seed oil-free chicken nuggets. Big hit with the kids. For a limited time, you get $50 off your first Good Ranchers order. That means you can build your own box, starting as low as $129 for like a ton of meat. Just visit goodranchers.com/Charlie to get $50 off on their site. Remember, that's goodranchers.com/Charlie for $50 off. You will also get double the free meat with every order on top of the $50 off when you start a plan today. So they throw in a free piece of meat or a bacon or chicken nuggets, whatever you want. Go to goodranchers.com/Charlie. Switch to American meat delivered. All right. Sophie Cunningham is back in the news. We just can't get enough, apparently, as a culture of Sophie Cunningham. So, Blake, since you are the big WNBA star, why don't you set up this story for us? What happened?
Hold on. This is defamation. Andrew, you're the one who follows every single WNBA game. You're the one who blows up our show prep. Did you guys see the game last night? Did you guys see these highlights? You're the one who's doing that. I'm just throwing that out there. Andrew, WNBA Supervan Kolvet. We might have to.
What happened? What happened, though?
I mean, the real reason I think you get away from the Y refi flag is I think you want a WNBA flag. Anyway, what happened is Seattle Storm are apparently one of the WNBA teams. I had to look that up. And obviously a pretty lib city. And I think that's also, is that where Brittany Griner plays right now? I can't remember. I don't know. I don't know where anyone plays. But whatever it is. So two teenage fans were at the game, and they were, I believe, wearing apparel supportive of Riley Gaines, supportive of women's sports as opposed to men's sports. And that got them in for some harassment at the game. It looks like they have signs there, and we've got we've got your 6 or something like that. Whatever it is, and they were supportive of women's
Sophie
sports.
For speaking up for girls. Yes, exactly. And we have the clip of them getting harassed. We should play it.
Exactly. So we have a clip. Yeah, let's play it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which one? Let's. So what's crazy about that?
What happened here?
What's crazy is, Lib City, they got harassed by fans who are upset about this. But the really wild thing is it was actually the team's owner or co-owner, Celeste Keaton, was one of the people harassing these kids. So I don't even know. I follow the NFL. The NFL owners can be an eccentric bunch, but I don't know that I've ever heard of an NFL owner harassing a fan. But I guess the WNBA is breaking new territory of owner-fan interactions here, and it's blown up already. Apparently, the WNBA has suspended Celeste Keaton from attending the team's next 5 home games because of this. So
not enough. She has to sell her ownership stake in the Seattle Storm. That should be the request. But look at these girls. Can you imagine coming after these girls and harassing them? Pick 206. These are minors, and we do have a clip of their comments. 206 is their image. They're sweet girls, and they're wearing XXXY, holding up a sign to 205. It says, "We love you, Sophie. Thank you, Sophie, for speaking up for girls." And it's great. They're just minding their own business. And this co-owner goes up to them and says, "You're effing insane. Get out of here." And I mean, it's just like, what is happening? I feel like we're living through a collective psychosis of people just acting bizarre. And here are these 2 young girls telling about their experience. SOT 19.
Well, we were just sitting there with our signs that said, like, we love Sophie, like, thank you, Sophie, for speaking up. And so we were holding on, just watching the game. Again, we were being super great. We hadn't said anything to anyone else. We were being super respectful. We were just holding our signs and cheering for both teams. And this older lady comes up to us. She asks, like, "What are you guys doing?" Or something like that. And then it was like, "Jesus loves everyone." That's what she told us. And I was like, "Oh, I know. Like, I'm religious. Like, I know. Like, I know." Nice. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, I hope Jesus can forgive you for what sin you've done," and like something like that. And then she told us that we were effing insane.
And she's like, and she went like insane.
Yeah.
She's like, you better stop this
and stop pulling this. Yeah.
And for you guys, I hope God can save you. I will say, Annalie, when I came over, you were in tears.
Yeah, I've never been yelled at like that.
So, man, I can visualize it all in my head. It's like a nightmarish encounter at the supermarket if you were wearing like a MAGA hat that could happen in 2016. Like, what is that? How do you feel okay just having that out in public? Don't you realize that this is hurtful to people? Don't you realize that you're endangering trans lives? You can just see the whole thing unfolding. A nightmarish encounter with the middle-aged busybody of your neighborhood. Except this woman, apparently, you can own a WNBA team. Maybe I should be a co-owner of a WNBA team. You were saying they should make her sell her stake. Like, What do you think the cost is of owning 15% of a WNBA team? Is it more or less than the price of a used Kia?
Well, here's a picture of Celeste Keaton, who's now been suspended, 194. And I think she looks exactly like I expected. Like almost exactly like I expected.
This woman appears in our nightmares, Andrew.
Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things, because of people like Celeste Keaton. And apparently Seattle Storm is like the most woke group imaginable. Like 193, this is a Seattle Storm WNBA player wearing pro-trans gear. Trans rights are human rights. And apparently they, I don't know. Anyways, enough about the Seattle Storm. Apparently they're awful. Please, nobody buy their tickets and nobody buy their jerseys. Sophie Cunningham has chimed in on this. 198, Blake. She says, I truly believe there is a safe space and love for everybody. Biological girls, biological boys, trans women, and trans men. Everybody is welcome at my table. You can disagree and still be kind. Bravo to those girls for standing up for what they believe. You'll be hearing from me soon. Yay for gifts. Truly embarrassing of the co-owner. Unfortunately, shows the type of leader she is. And we don't mean to assume the pronouns there. But
Good for her. I'm so glad I get welcomed by Sophie Cunningham every time I fly in through Phoenix, because she has her Wnba ad.
The Wnba ad. That's right.
Man, what a story. We're basically a WNBA coverage program, Andrew, at this point. We got to be careful with this.
A lot of fodder for conversation. We'll be right back.
When is the last time you had date night?
Some stories deserve more than headlines. They deserve to be remembered. Extortion 17 honors the 30 American service members and 8 Afghan partners who made the ultimate sacrifice when their helicopter was shot down during a mission in Afghanistan on August 6, 2011. Through powerful orchestration and heartfelt emotion, composer Don Newen pays tribute to their courage, their service, and the families who continue to carry their legacy. From Real America's Music, this is Extortion 17 by Don Newen. Pre-save it now.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
I'm Terry from New Jersey, and I just want to say that I love Real America's Voice. I love you guys. Keep up the good work.
Hi, my name's Paul Poyer. I'm Poyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all. Bye.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that Rav News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
I'm Bo Davidson from the Real America's Voice newsroom. We are keeping our eye on the White House, where you can see right now we are awaiting President Trump to make an announcement on an initiative called Freedom Haulers about American truckers. And now for your headlines. Federal Reserve is keeping interest rates steady as officials continue to confront elevated inflation and rising energy costs. The Federal Reserve is keeping interest rates steady as they face these continued inflation and energy costs. The central bank voted 9-3 to hold its benchmark rate between 3.5% and 3.75%. The Fed says the economy remains resilient with solid growth, strong investment, and little change in unemployment. However, inflation remains above the Fed's 2% target. We're going to take you now, as aforementioned, to the White House, where President Trump is making an announcement on Freedom Haulers. Let's take it.
What a nice song. We thank Lee, right? Lee has been with us from the beginning, so it's great. And thank you all for being here as we take action to get illegal alien truck drivers off the American roadways. We're doing a very strong movement, and we have had such support for this, and replace them with proud American veterans. And it's about time. I want to thank Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy, who's doing a fantastic job. Secretary of Veterans Affairs Doug Collins, likewise, really doing a good job. 92% approval. That's not bad, Doug. You'll get it up a little bit. Acting Secretary of Labor Keith Sonderling, and along with President of Werner Enterprises Nathan Maiskar. Thank you very much, Nathan, and representatives from the American Truck Industry. Independent. They're all behind this 100%. I'm behind it 100%. We got to stop it. Every day you see another story. We're not going to let that happen. That won't happen with our great vets. But above all, thank you to the amazing veterans with us. I mean, they've just been with us from the day they were born, I suspect. They're great patriots, and we love them. And we want to thank UPS, FedEx, and Werner for the job they've done. Thanks as well to the National Commander of AMVETS, Paul Shipley, Chief Operating Officer of the Independence Fund, Doug Ackerman, and the great patriots from the Wounded Warrior Project, American Legion, Blue Star Families, Gary Sinise Foundation, Vietnam Veterans of America, and Paralyzed Veterans of America. We thank you all, and thank you all for being with us. Very special. Thank you, fellas. Thank you, everybody. For many years, American highways and roadways have been terrorized by unqualified illegal aliens dangerously driving big rigs like that. You got to know something to drive. Wow, that sucker is a big one. That's big stuff. But they're you have to have a knowledge, you have to have a talent for it, and these people don't have that. They're driving big rigs, semi-trucks, and tractor trailers, all because radical left maniacs at the state level have issued them commercial driver's licenses, even though they're not entitled to have them. They don't speak the language for the most part. Many of these illegal aliens don't even come close. They don't want to learn the language. They don't care about the language, and they don't speak it. They don't speak English. They cannot read basic road signs. In many cases, they've engaged in reckless driving that has caused many, many preventable deaths, many, too many to even talk about. Last August, 3 innocent people were killed in Florida when an illegal alien from India made an unlawful U-turn, blocking all the lanes of the highway and causing a catastrophic crash. It was a disaster. Just a few weeks ago, a Pennsylvania state trooper was killed by an illegal alien from Haiti driving a semi-truck. He was let in by Joe Biden and the open border policy of the Biden administration. By the way, today we have the safest border in the history of our country. And I don't even say this usually, but for the last 14 months, because it's almost unbelievable to say, but the media will correct me if I give anything that's even slightly off. As of 14 months, in the last 14 months, 0 illegal aliens were able to come through our southern border. 0. Last year alone, illegal aliens with commercial driver's licenses caused at least 30 deaths and many, many very seriously injured. As president, I made it our official policy to enforce English language requirements for truck drivers and support American truckers on American roadways. We've already removed more than 24,000 non-English speakers from behind the wheel. We've also forced states to cancel more than 28,000 commercial driver's licenses unlawfully issued to illegal aliens. They were given illegally. As we get illegal aliens off the roads today, we're also taking action to replace these unqualified migrant truck drivers with highly qualified American veterans. Under our brand new Freedom Haulers, we call it Freedom Haulers initiative, any American who has driven a heavy truck for our military will automatically be eligible for a commercial driver's license. And it's good paying jobs too. Any veteran with a heavy vehicle experience from the military will now be eligible to skip redundant road tests to obtain a commercial driver's license. We're going to make it as easy as possible for the veterans within 2 years following their active duty service. And for the veterans where no truck, where you have a situation where you have not truck drivers in the military, where you don't have truck drivers, they're going to be given a very quick pass. We're going to teach them. They're going to learn. If they didn't drive a truck in the military, but we're in, they're going to learn, and they're going to learn very quickly, and they'll be licensed in a matter of a few weeks, I think it is. They're going to take about 3 or 4 weeks of training. 34 states have joined this initiative, including Indiana, Wyoming, Louisiana, Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, and Maryland are joining us just today, and many of the representatives and leaders from those states are with us. It's actually a very big deal. This is a big deal. We believe that all 50 states and Washington, D.C. should join us in supporting these great veterans. And frankly, some of the states didn't know about it. They heard about it today, and I think they're all going to be signing up. Data shows that truck drivers who are veterans account for 42% fewer accidents. Think of that, 42%. And that number, they say, is a very minimal number, even as they drive the double the number of miles of non-veteran drivers. So to end this, very simply, the radical left wants more jobs for illegal aliens and more migrants in 18-wheelers, and Trump administration wants safer roads and more jobs for the American veteran. Now I'd like to ask a man who's done a fantastic job on this subject and many others, Secretary Duffy, to say a few words, followed by Secretary Collins, Nathan, and a great veteran truck driver, Ricky Washington. And I'll just stand here and watch. Thank you very much. Sean, go ahead.
So thank you, Mr. President. And to underscore your point, President Biden let in millions of illegals into this country. And he thought it would be a good idea that when they come in, they get a job, and they get a job driving a commercial motor vehicle. They didn't have the training. They didn't have the skill. We didn't do background checks in the last administration, so they could have had a mile-long rap sheet of crimes or drunk driving or speeding violations, but we didn't know who they were. And we saw that when those illegals were driving these big rigs, they were killing American citizens. You're a family that was on the way to Walmart, or you're going to church on a Sunday, you could lose your life on an American road. So because of the president's initiative, he signed an executive order over a year ago. It was the common sense rules of the road. And since you signed that executive order, we all have been working overtime to make sure we take illegals off American roads, and we give those jobs to great Americans, including great American veterans. So that's right. These are great paying jobs. They're anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000+ a year. And it's important because you have men and women who drove big rigs in the military who would then get out and have to go through months-long training for their skills and their knowledge test to drive this vehicle over here. Well, if Secretary Pete Hegseth thinks that you can drive a vehicle like this, Donald Trump and Sean Duffy think that you can drive a vehicle like that. So we have illegals are out, American patriots are in this administration. We've had more people, trucking companies call us and try to find, how do I hire more veterans? How do I bring the men, the great men and women who serve this country, how do I bring them into my company? So you can go to freedomhaulers.dot.gov to get more information. But we are clearing the deck for you to get a great job in trucking. Mr. President, there's a lot of things that the radical left, as you mentioned, get angry about because they're radical. But safety for the American citizenry is bipartisan. This is not a political issue. This is an American issue. Let's make sure American roads are safe. Let's make sure we put great patriots who serve this country on American roads, well-trained, with great skills. And I think this is one of the great legacies of your administration. I am grateful for your leadership, putting America first, American veterans first, American roads first over the illegals who the last administration prioritized. It has been just an honor to work with you, and to me, he's a master class. To see how this president operates, to watch him and learn from him is amazing. So thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Sean. And Mr. President, I can't think of anything else that says freedom more in our country than an open road truck and a veteran. Because you have veterans that said one thing. When they raised their right hand, they pledged what others would not do. They said, I will go and do what others will not do. And it is this country. When you told me, and I asked you that question, I said, Mr. President, what do you want me to do? He said, just take care of my veterans. So every day now, since the last year and a half, veterans at the VA are first and only in what we do. And this. So when Sean and I, we heard about this, and we started looking at this, some things that we have done, Mr. President, you're behind this and working to get veterans on the road. I can't think of anything more American. I can't think of anything that puts us first. Instead of the illegals who want to come take jobs, let's put veterans in the seats, making jobs safer and better for all Americans as we go along. Because veterans, look, you proved once you can do it. I know for a fact you can do it every single day. As we look at this, some of the questions that come. The Wild West is over, so what do? How do we get our veterans into this? Well, one of the things that I want to emphasize is that we're now not only taking you as veteran, the GI Bill is going to be able to pay for this. You're going to be able to actually get and use the money to go get your CDL license. You're able to get this, and we're going to make it a lot easier and a lot quicker. Like I said, for those of us who rode in these, this will be a thrill. So we do that. We're going to use the GI Bill. The Dole Act also did something that's really important, and that was the CDL programs. It used to take almost 2 years to get in. We're now waiving that to where the CDL and disabilities, service-connected disabilities, can get in that instead of having to wait the 2 years. So we're actually putting into place what is already there and saying, you know what, we're going to make it easier for our veterans to do this. Our VR&E programs are already ready to train veterans to go take these jobs as we go forward. But as we go forward, let me just emphasize one thing already, Mr. President. 1 in 10 of our truck drivers across the country are veterans already. 1 in 10. Why don't we make it 2 in 10? Why don't we make it 3 in 10? For those who want to get out and serve this country, who want to be the leaders and be the safety experts who drove these to drive these, will drive us as Americans in the future. We couldn't do this without a great partnership with the cabinet and our partners in the business community as we go forward. But I'm here to also tell you, you can't do it without a president who doesn't look at what can't be. He looks at what can be. And Donald Trump has said when it comes to transportation and safety and keeping illegals off the road, but also putting our veterans first, you have a president who not only says it, but he does it. And we're here today to prove it. God bless you.
I would like to thank President Trump for inviting us all here today.
It is a profound honor to stand with you here at the White House, along with the brave veterans, the military leaders, and cabinet members, in the same month that we celebrated the 250th anniversary of our great country. If I could take a moment, for those of you that are at a camera and facing this way, there are hundreds of veterans here today. And I feel like we owe it to the veterans who have sacrificed. The saying is that all gave some and some gave all. And I would like to take a moment for all of us to thank the people behind the camera and the men here for their service. As President Trump said, I am Nathan Maisgeyer. I'm the president of Werner Enterprises. Werner is one of America's largest, safest, and most successful transportation companies. This year, Werner proudly celebrates 7 decades of keeping the American economy moving. And after all, 75% of all freight in America moves by a truck. At Werner, 15% of our 14,000 associates nationwide are veterans and military spouses, a statistic that we're proud of. Today, I am proud to announce a new strategic initiative for our company. In tandem with the Trump administration's Freedom Haulers program, Werner Enterprises is officially committing to hire 1,400 veterans in the coming year. This administration's Freedom Haulers campaign will have a direct and powerful impact on our ability to bring even more veterans into our workforce and into this great trucking economy. Cutting through red tape and translating a veteran's military driving experience directly into a civilian commercial driver's license. Veterans at Werner often move up the ranks into roles as driver leaders, and many serve as premier road team captains, mentoring the next generation of drivers and representing the absolute best of American trucking. We should all commit to ensure that every veteran returning home is met not just with handshakes and hugs and applause, but real opportunities to lead, drive, and succeed. Thank you again to President Trump and all of the members of the Trump administration who support our heroes and these pro-veteran initiatives. May God bless our veterans, may God bless our leaders, and may God bless America. Thank you.
My fellow Americans, Mr. President, and distinguished guests, it is an honor to stand with you today. For 30 years of service, I have the privilege of wearing the uniform of the United States Army and the Army National Guard. Like so many who have answered the call, my service took me through moments of hardships and sacrifices. I reflect on which I carry with me every day. Serving this nation was an honor, but when the time came to take a uniform off, I faced the question veterans confront. How do I continue serving? For me, the answer was on the open road. Transition from military life behind the wheel of a commercial truck has brought a renewed sense of mission for me. Veterans make exceptional truck drivers because they have the core values of the military aligned seamlessly with the trucking industry. We're disciplined, we're vigilant, we're adaptable, and with unwavering commitment to getting the job done safely and on time. The trucking industry is more than just a sector of our economy. It is the backbone of our commerce. It is a place where service members, veterans, military spouse can find a purpose, a community, and a way to continue keeping our great nation moving forward. Thank you, Mr. President. God bless our service members and their family, and God bless the United States of America.
Anybody like to say anything? I just want to thank everybody for being here. This is going to be a big day for our wonderful patriots, our great veterans. They're going to produce like nobody else can produce. And thank you very much. And I want to thank you and especially all those people you're going to be hiring. But I know a lot of your competitors are also doing the same thing. So it's going to be really fantastic. Sean, thank you. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, everybody, for the job you've done very much. Bye. Thank you.
White House making an announcement about his new Freedom Haulers initiative to get veterans placed in commercial driving opportunities. We now return to the Charlie Kirk program, already in progress.
Vet it. What can you do on the legal front to stop immigration from Muslim countries?
So, number one, you can go back to what they did in Trump 1 and expand that. And what they did in Trump 1 is they essentially identified every single country in which we can't actually verify the information that's being sent for people. They're either corrupted or in the hands of terrorist organizations. You know, if ISIS controls the ID making office in Syria, then we can't actually vet anyone that they're sending to us. And it just so happened that every country that qualified under that was Islamic. So it wasn't necessarily an Islamic ban. But I think you could significantly increase this on those grounds. And then also on other grounds, I think that you're right. I think that you can expand that to a significantly higher number of countries, not just the 7 or so that they did last time. And then on our vetting standards, and I think this is where there's movement within the Trump administration. I can't speak for the Trump administration, but I think that they're actively working on beefing up our vetting standards. Because currently, essentially, and this is oversimplification, but basically, as long as you're not on some list as a known ISIS combatant and otherwise can demonstrate that you can, support yourself and you can check all the other boxes, they'll let you in. That's just not enough. It's not even close to enough. We should be asking, what are your views on apostasy? What are your views on the genocide of an entire people in Israel? And go on and on and on. I mean, we can ask them all of these questions, and there's ways to, are they using takia and getting around this? Do double blind, ask family members, see if their answers start not adding up. You can do social media hits. We can even look at their email content. There's all sorts of things we can ask to see in order to check the box, and that would severely limit. But beyond that, I think at the end of the day that if you are a doctrinal believer in Islam, you actually believe what the Quran says, I don't know how you can hold your hand up ever and say that I take an oath to support and defend the Constitution. They're just not at loggerheads. It just doesn't work. Now, if you're an American born in Missouri and you're raised Christian and you just decide you want to become Muslim, fine, First Amendment. But I don't think we should be importing millions of people who actively want to destroy our entire way of life, and they don't even try to hide it anymore. Like you said about Texas, if you look at some of these imams and what they're saying publicly, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. They're just overtly saying that they're going to conquer Texas. In fact, they said they don't even care about what the parents think. They're going to control the minds of the children. They say these things.
Well, and Wade, you brought up this clip, and it's something that Blake brings up a lot. Yeah. So I don't know, Blake, if you want to set it up.
No, it's just, as you say, it's like we have a lot of delusions about Islam and how it's worked in country after country, and this goes back decades. There's something really remarkable. Let's play it. This is George W. Bush in the wake of 9/11, clip 33.
The face of terror is not the true faith of Islam. That's not what Islam is all about. Islam is peace. These terrorists don't represent peace. They represent evil and war.
It's so frustrating and upsetting to see, because I think George W. Bush was the last president America had who had true freedom of action, that after 9/11, he could have come out and he could have basically proposed anything, done anything as a response to that. That's the last time America had 90% unity on action. He could have said, we're not going to wage war against Islam, but it's clear that it is culturally incompatible with us, and that when we let in tons of people from abroad. We're letting in people who hate us. We're going to block immigration from all of these Islamic societies. He could have done that. He could have totally secured the border and cut off dangerous immigration. And instead, he came out and said, we need to become more pro-Islam. We need to let in more Islamic migrants from other countries. We should invade them over there so we can invite them over here. And now we're seeing the consequences of that here. We're seeing it big time in Europe, which did the same thing. And as you say, Wade, it's going to be a huge test because we have the First Amendment, we have freedom of religion, and I'm very worried, and Charlie was very worried, that that right will not survive having a large minority that is not very amenable to a tolerant coexistence with other groups.
It's 100% right. So this what you played from Bush is the entire conception that the conservative movement, not everyone, but the part that was in power then, that they just got it wrong. And of course, Islam is not a religion of peace. Now, I can't speak in absolutist terms, but I can say that doctrinal Islam is highly violent and radicalized to achieve its ends of global domination and jihad.
Wade Miller. This is excellent stuff. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. Tomorrow we're going to be...
Life insurance is a wonderful asset, but what happens when you no longer need it or you can't afford?
Hey, Wayne Island Root, America Speaks. You call in and we talk about it. Your opinions, your comments, your questions. How do you call in? 800-347-ROOT. 800-347-ROOT. 800-347-7668. The show airs at midnight, East Coast time, 9 p.m. Pacific, but we tape it at 6 p.m. East Coast time, 3 p.m. Pacific. So you call in at 6 p.m. Eastern, and I talk to you, and it airs that night at midnight. The phone number again, 800-347-ROOT. That number is 24/7. You can leave voicemails. We play your voicemails on the air as well.
Hey, Wayne, what do you think about Obama?
He was a communist, socialist, Marxist radical. I agree. Or you can email me, wayneroot@gmail.com. I'll read your email live on the air with your comments or questions. America Speaks.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
Get Out the Vote by the Truth Bombers.
Granddad said freedom's like an old fence line, son.
Whether you're rallying the neighborhood, heading to the polls, or standing up for the red, white, and blue, this is the soundtrack for freedom-loving Americans everywhere. Don't wait. Download Get Out the Vote by Truth Bombers right now on all major streaming platforms. Play it loud, share it proud, and let's get out the vote.
Get out and vote. Let your voice be heard. More than a bumper sticker or a spoken word. Take a friend, take your wife, take a neighbor who's been busy all his life. One honest vote, one honest count. That's what this republic's all about. Stand up proud from coast to coast. Freedom needs more than a social post.